Okay, let's get started. Hi all. Good morning. Good evening. My name is Manjnath. I have 5+ years of experience as an Oracle Apps developer. And so when coming to me, like I have worked in uh, multiple organizations like MNCs, working in multiple different projects in Oracle. And I've started my career as an Oracle developer. Currently, I am working in Oracle apps, and the current project that I'm working is on Oracle Cloud. Okay, so I have started from Oracle developer as a fresher. Now I am working in Oracle Cloud project. So this is how my journey started. So now let's get started with the Oracle training. So within this course, welcome to the batch of 174. So far, we have done a couple of trainings, and this is the 174 batch that we will be starting. So within this batch, we will be seeing what are the uh, courses that we will be going ahead, like what are the concepts that we will be learning within this batch. Okay. So first we will be starting with SQL. Then slowly we will be moving at with the all the concepts of SQL. Then we will be moving to the PLSQL. Okay. Then one by one we will be learning what exactly the SQL is all about, what exactly the code that we will be writing in SQL. Then what is the use of PLSQL. Okay, so we will be starting one by one slowly, and then let's get into the next slide. So this is the next slide which says about the course content. And if you have to register, you can go ahead and scan it over here for the registration. And if you have to get the course content, what exactly the course is all about, and what and all we will be walking through within the training. So you can scan it over here. Okay, this will be provided, the document will be provided at the end, so that you can go through the entire document one by one. Okay. So for now, if you have not registered, or if you have not joined to the WhatsApp group, please go ahead and scan it over here. Okay. This is a 6 weeks training, so which will be starting from like first 5 sessions will be as a demo. Then after 5 sessions, we will be going through the actual task, like actual concepts of the SQL and PLC. Okay, so it will be a 6 week course. So it will be starting early morning at around 6 a.m. IST timing. And if you need any support related to the installations, or if you need any support related to the documents, or any access once after registration, if you are if there is any struggles, then you can reach out to these particular numbers. You can reach out either by email, or we can directly talk to these particular numbers. Okay, so when you're dropping an email, kindly note that mention Oracle SQL and PLSQL and the batch number. Only then we will get, the support team will get to know. So what exactly the which batch the student belongs to, and what kind of support needs to be given, that will be carried forward. Okay. So for while dropping an email, drop to Logic Lab Technologies, like support@logiclabstech.com. Okay, but while dropping, please mention SQL and PLSQL, Oracle SQL and PLSQL with a batch number 174. Okay, so the next slide says like first 5 sessions will be free. Then after that, the 6th session onwards, we will be going through the actual tasks, like we will be going through the installations, and then how the basics of SQL looks like, and where we will be starting our coding, and how the coding looks like within SQL and PLSQL. Okay, and this is all about the introduction, like you can reach out, like you can reach out to the support team anytime. Here it says that when you are in the IST timing, you can particularly go with the 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST timing. You can reach out to this particular, if you have to directly contact, okay, within this particular timing on 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST timing. Or else you can drop an email at any time. The response will be there, and the support will be given from the team. Okay. Before we get started, can we go through the introduction of yours? Abhijit?
Yes, sure. Yeah, so good morning. My name is Abhijit and I have total 4 years of experience, and currently I'm working with as a data engineer
Mm-hmm.
role in one of the MNC company.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's good. So, your job related to Oracle SQL or?
Yes. Means my job role also we are using the SQL queries on all, and
Mhm,
also we are using the PLSQL part as a stored procedure.
mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
so you want to know in-depth knowledge about SQL and PL/SQL then in that case.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Nice. Okay, let's get started then in that case. Let's get started with the next slide. So Oracle, if you have aware, Oracle have started by developed by Larry Ellison in 1977. So introduction, the initial phase of development, like Oracle database was not given to the public. So once after development, fully developed and after multiple test cases, after successfully going through all the scenarios, eighth version was released into the market for everyone to go ahead into for the usage of retail and commercial as well. Okay, so even for the practice, eighth version was being started. So when the eighth version came, it came up with a 8i. I is nothing but an internet based connections which database has given by Oracle. Then after that, grid version has came into picture. Currently it is a cloud version of database that we are following. So as the data is getting increased, and when the data is getting increased, the maintenance will be a huge impact. So in that case, so going into the cloud will be a better option. So cloud has an option to upgrade n number of the amount of space that we can go ahead and subscribe can be increased with the help of cloud. Okay, it instead of setting up the local servers, like if you have to set up a local server, increasing of the space will be a complicated task. So if you have to buy an additional space, I have to go buy organization needs to buy additional servers. So the physical part and the setup and maintenance will be huge, high costly. I mean to say the cost is very high for this. So instead of this, if we go with the cloud, cloud has a subscription basis where we will be getting the database can be increased, the size and the memory can be increased based on our subscription with the service provider. So cloud is a better option as of now when coming to the maintenance and along with its features that has been provided. So uh, so now every organization is moving to the Oracle cloud uh, they later than in the local versions. Okay, so cloud is the better version. Currently we have 22c as a kind of thing that is running up, but we suggest for training 19c version for training, or else the express edition version. Okay, so anything is fine for the practice. We have two different types of installation document that will be given, so you can go ahead and practice in either two versions, whatever the version. Like if you have high GB of memory in your system, then you can go ahead and install the 19c version, 19c version, and then go ahead and practice. If not, then if you want the lighter version with the less memory and the instead of servers getting up and down within your system, you can go with the lighter version. The express edition will be given. So both are fine as per the requirements. Okay, as per the memory that has been within our system. Okay, if we have, if you are comfortable in installing the higher version, go please go ahead with 19c. If you want to practice it but don't want to go with a higher GB version, then we can go ahead with express edition. Both the documents can be will be given like based on the requirements. Okay, if you need 19c, you can request, they will be providing 19c document. no need. Like if you are not interested of 19C, you want to go with the practice with the lighter version. So the feature will be same, like features will be same. Only thing is that the memory of, like in 19C, you have all the features, but we will not be using all the features. Just the memory of allocation will be increased in the database in our local system. Okay. Then if it is express edition, if you have to just practice the SQL and PLSQL within your system and rest apart, you are not going to touch anything, then it's better to go with express edition. Okay. Or else if you are going to touch up Oracle Java based kind of things, then if you are touching with any kind of cloud relation, like relating it to the servers and all, then if you have to touch up with the other technologies along with which are incorporated with Oracle, then you can it's better to go with 19C. Okay. For just practice, we can reach out, we can just install the Express edition in our system. Okay. So as we have seen that Oracle has designed, Oracle SQL and PL/SQL was designed and developed by Larison within with the use of Oracle syntaxes. So it was a huge success when the database was released into the market. So when there is a successor in the market, obviously there will be other organizations also which will also come as a competitors. So the same way, like when Oracle is a competitor, Oracle is a successor, there are other products also which came into the market as an competitors. So for this successor, we have other organization like Microsoft have developed SQL Server, which is also a database. And from IBM, we have got another product. These are called as a products. Like Oracle has an Oracle DB product. The Microsoft has an SQL Server kind of database product. IBM has a DB2 kind of database product. Okay. Along with this, we have Teradata, PostgreSQL, NoSQL kind of things, which are free versions, which when you go with the free versions, what happens is that in the market, if for practicing, it will be good. But when we talk about the industry standards, like if industry is using it, the support will be very minimal. So when the support is very minimal, then the organization will be very likely to use it. They will not go ahead with the usage of that, because if any issues come, there will not be a proper support from the product owners. So for that reason, most probably like most of the high-end organizations or high-end projects will be going with the well-established databases. So out of which Oracle is the best well-established database in the market. So apart from Oracle, we have SQL Server also. But I'm not sure like IBM provide database will be used in widely in the market, but SQL Server and Oracle DB are the most prominent ones. So currently we are gaining attention on the PostgreSQL, Teradata, and NoSQL also, but the support will be very minimal. Okay, within the industry markets. Okay. So these all about the history and the products of the Oracle that we have seen in the market, and the history about Oracle. And when coming to the Oracle database, so it is very simple to use, very easy to understand, and it uses a concept of RDBMS. So what is RDBMS? We will be seeing in the coming sessions. So when, let's say, for example, uh, when Oracle is a database system, like if you have to allocate a data, like if you have to push the data into the database, it needs to be of it needs to be of a structured format. Let's say, for example, the data which you are storing in the file, or else let's say, for example, in the general, let's say the database, like the data that you want to store somewhere, if it is in unorganized format, it looks very clumsy to look. Like it looks clumsy. Even if you have to read the data, it will take longer time. It will not be that easy to read, capture the informations as required, and after reading or capturing, to process the data, it will take lot of efforts. We have to give lot of efforts. Instead of doing it, we cannot automate the process. The database, after inserting the data, we cannot automate with the help of that data. So for that reason, Oracle follows RDBMS for concept, where it uses a database like SQL name suggests that a structured query language. Structured query language is nothing but the data that we insert in the database needs to be officed with a proper structure. So if the structure is, the data within the database is not arranged in unorganized way, if the structure is not apt, or if it is, the structure is not up to the readable format, what happens is that the effort that we put to read or to capture the information will be taking longer time. Instead of, we cannot make the product to be that efficient or the faster way, or either we cannot automate the process because the data that we have stored is not in the structured format. So due to this, so the RDBMS concept, what happens is that, so the data that we have arranged in the database in the structured format can be used or can be collected or can be joined to the multiple tables or can be related to the other tables at much easier way, due to which we can automate anything within the database. If the data is structured format, we can automate the things. Even let's say, for example, let's say if I am logging into the Facebook login page or the Amazon shopping app, or let's say in the real world, we will be logging into the particular page. So let's say, for example, you have created a Gmail account, and your Gmail account, it will be primarily looking for your basic details like your name, then your email ID. Then after that, it will ask you what kind of email ID that you are requesting for, and that is available or not. Let's say the email ID that you are giving is of one format, let's say facebook@123.com. So if, let's say, let's say Facebook itself, let's say facebook@gmail.com, but you are trying to create a Gmail account in with the help of facebook@gmail.com. If the data is not well arranged in the Gmail database, so some other user have already, some other uh, person have already created that particular email ID saying that facebook@gmail.com. If the database is not structured format, it is not well structured, when I try to give a new user, a new user comes into a picture, and when he is trying to create the same name, so the account may or may not create. Let's say if the data is not structured format, if I try to give, the data needs to, the particular name needs to be searched into the entire database. So if the data is well arranged, it can go directly hit on that particular column, in which column the particular usernames exist or the email IDs exist. It can go ahead and target only on that particular column and capture all the information. If the email ID already exists, it can pop up a message saying that this email ID already exists. If the email ID or else the data is not well arranged in the database, then to search the information, it has to walk through all the columns. So column one, it has to go through one, after one record, it needs to go to the other column, then other column and all. So if it is not well structured or the data is not arranged properly, reading of the entire database will be a painful part. Due to this, the performance will be very less. It will not work as expected. Okay, instead of doing the task in within 30 seconds, it may take up more than 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, due to this, we can say that data, whatever the data that we are storing in our database, needs to be of well structured format. So let's say whatever the database, whatever the data that you have stored, like let's say, for example, when you have created an account and the data is well structured, now I have your email ID, I have your password, which is of encrypted in the database. Okay. Now, when you come back again tomorrow and if you try to log into the Facebook again, let's say you have already created, the data is well structured, and whenever you are trying to log in, so whenever you are trying to log in, you are trying to give the same email ID, but the password is different. So it can give then and there itself, I can get an error message saying that the login is not of the same credentials that you are able to provide. So if the data is well structured, then and there itself, it will get login. Then and there itself, it will try to add, get into your profile and fetch the details that you have provided. Okay. So, so Oracle database is the best part. Like I can say, it is the most prominent or widely used within the organization for storing of any data. And after storing, the retrieval also will be very fast. The retrieval from the database will be very faster, and you can process the data, and you can execute the data, you can automate the data. Okay. The or whatever the process that you are using can be automated if the data is well structured. Okay. So not only the storing of the data, you can manipulate the data whatever there in the database, and once after manipulating, you can update the data, or else, let's say, if you don't want, you can delete the data, you can back up the data. Okay. All this comes into a picture. Let's say if you have to, you have created multiple tables in any organization, if you see, so the database will never have a single table. Let's say every table has a couple of columns. Let's say the tables, whatever you have created, all the entire data within the organization can never go and sit into a single table. For that reason, what organization does is that they will split every table. They will be splitting the data into multiple tables. So the tables is nothing but a storing of data, like how we will be storing the data. So the storing of data will be done within columns. So every column there will be one. Let's say, for example, I have an employee table. For example, we will be seeing how to create a table and how to store the data within the table. But before storing the table, or before storing the data inside the table, let's walk through what exactly the table is. So the table is nothing but, which is used as, it is a database object which has, oops, just give me 1 minute, guys. Able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, I'm able to.
Okay. Thanks for that confirmation. So where we are, like, what is a table, right? Table is a database object. So a database object which stores the data inside the table. Okay. Like as we said, like how the data is getting stored. We have seen, like, if the data is stored in the database in a well structured format, that will be very good to see, and will be very efficient to be processed. Let's say, for example, I am creating a data like this. Let's go like this, saying that I have created a table saying that my table name is employee details. Okay. Employee informations. I have to store the information of an employee. So what if I store the data in this way? Employee name, employee name, his employee ID, then his age, salary, and his email ID. Okay. Now the just consider this as a data. These are the call. Ignore this just for our understanding. I've given. Now instead of employee name, what if I give 123? Employee name is Manjunath. Then his age is 30,000. Instead of age, like age is, let me give 27 kind of. And his email ID is 123@gmail.com. Okay. Now again, let me say next employee is Abhijit. Abhijit. Then his employee ID is 234, and his age is, instead of age, what I will do, I will try to capture abc@gmail.com, and the age is something with the salary saying that 40,000, and his age is 21 kind of thing. Okay. So if I stored the information in the database, this format, but actually I have planned to store the data in this way. And first column needs to have data of employee name, employee ID. Next column is of age. After age, I need to store the salary. After that, I need to store an email ID. But instead of that, what if data is getting stored in the database of this format? Now I need to fetch all the email IDs from the database. Now, let's say, for example, you are trying to log into the database and you need to give your email ID, or else we have to give our email ID and the password. Now, how will the database get to know which column it needs to target and fetch the email IDs? If the email ID of this column, if I have to fetch the data, if I have to consider only this column for the email IDs, but here the email ID exists, but for Abhijit, there is no email ID. I'm able to see his age. Email ID is placed somewhere else in the database within this particular table. The table name is same, employee information itself, but the data is not well organized. So fetching of the data, like if I have to fetch data, I have to go manually look into this every record by record. After this particular record, okay, this email ID exists on this particular column. Now I have to go with the next record. So, okay, email ID is available here. What if the third record, and the same way, like if we have hundreds of employees, can I go ahead and do manually? This can be a painful part to fetch the data from the database, like searching of record by record and going through the row by row in entire database from that particular table will be a painful part. Even while fetching of the records will be like, it will be taking longer time. What if I store the data in this format? Serial numbers are 123, then the name is of kind of thing, and his age is of kind of thing. So while fetching of the records, I can directly go ahead and fetch the records. Like if I have to fetch, if there is an email ID or else the names of the employees that we have who are working in our organization, if I directly fetch the records from this particular column, there is no need of third party intervention or to validate the record, because I got to know that data, whatever the data that are storing in the database is of correct format, it is of sequence and structured format, then there is no need of validating. So then again, the validation before while developing will be there, then there is no need of validating every time. Okay, only at the development, I will be validating whether the data is getting stored in the database of the correct format or not. So Once the data is stored in the correct format, then there is no need of validation once again, and no need to recheck the data whether the data is getting absolutely fine or not. Whatever the data that I am trying to fetch is, this data is storing in the database of correct format or not. So if the data is well structured within a table, this we call as a columns. The serial number is a column, name is a column, age is a column, and one is a row. One this all these column, all the data within these cells, we call this as a row. Okay, these are the rows and these are the columns. So when a table is created in the database object, when a table is created as a database object, every table consists of rows and columns. Okay, in the columns we will have the entire of similar data type data that we will be storing, and in the rows we will be storing the exact information related to that particular columns. Okay, try to understand this. These are called as a columns. Based on the columns, we will be trying to store the data in the database. Okay, so if the data is well organized in our database, if the data is well organized in our database, there is no need of third party intervention to validate the particular data whenever we try to retrieve or whenever you try to store the data. I don't need to go ahead and recheck the data once again whether it is of correct format or not. Whereas here, if the data is not well arranged correctly, every time when I push the records, I have to manually update, I have to manually arrange it. Let's say employee name is this, but his employee ID is this, and his age is this, and I have to give his salary like this, and his email ID looks is this. And the same way, the same thing for here, employer ID. I have to manually do this, all these tasks. So this can never be possible in the organizations when it, like if it is a small organization, okay, that's okay, like doing of once or twice, okay, well and fine. But if it is a large organization, the organization is very big, and the data that we will be coming across is of huge data. So if the data is very huge, how can I go ahead and do this manually one by one? It will be a third party intervention, which will take, the efforts are very high to store the data in the database. So every time, like whenever we try to store the data, will be of a correct format. If we if we have a structure, a proper structure, same way, like here I have given a column names database. Let me remove these column names. Okay, but my assumption is I need to have first the employee name, then after that his employee ID, then his age, and then his salary and his email ID. Every time whenever data is populated or data is stored in the database, if I have to arrange it, if it is not well arranged, I have to go ahead and manually arrange by keeping a sheet aside, and I have to validate it once again. Okay, first column, the data needs to be of employee name. Okay, I have to go ahead and validate all the employees whether the employee name exists in the first column or not. Again, I have to go ahead and validate employee ID has been well arranged in this particular column or not for all the employees. Age, the same way I have to process it for all the columns, which will not be that easy part. So what we do is that whenever we try to store the data in the database, Oracle is the best platform to store the data because they have given every data, the storing of the data inside the database is of well structured format. The structured format in the form of rows and columns. So we have a column. So in every column, we can go ahead and insert the data or else store the data of that particular column related information itself. Okay. And again, while developing, we will be developing, and then we will be making it to work in such a way that whatever the information that you give needs to sit in the correct format itself. So this is how the SQL, this Oracle SQL comes into a picture, and which makes us an easy part whenever we have to store the data inside the database. It it helps for like for any project. Like if you go in the industry, without database, there will be no project or no organization will run without a database. There should be somehow, like earlier we have discussed, like there are other products for Oracle. Not only Oracle, there are other successors which has come into the market, and there are other products as well. Apart from Oracle DB, whatever the database that we come across will be storing the data within a format. Without a format, there will be no database. Okay, without a proper format, there will be no database. Even if there is database, if the format is not well structured, then there is no use of maintaining that database. Okay, so this is all about the database. So if this, so database is mainly used to store the data. How we will be storing the data? So if I have to store the data in the database, first I have to go ahead and create a table. Okay, once after creating a table, so now I will be, as we have seen, the table name is employee information. Let's say I have to store the employee information. First, I have to go ahead and create a table for it within my database. So that object, we will be calling that as a table or the object in our database. So this object or the table consists of the columns, what type of information I need to store within the database. Okay. So for every table, we will have columns. So once in columns are there, based on the columns, I will try to insert the data. So once after creating a table, once I have the columns, let's say, for example, these are my columns, or this is my table and these are my columns, I will be inserting the records one by one within this particular columns itself. Okay. So once after inserting, if I need to go ahead and update, I can go ahead and update. Let's say, for example, the data that has been inserted has some mistakes, or else some kind of errors that I have done. Can I leave it like that? No, I cannot leave it, because there can be errors while developing or while inserting. So database needs to provide us that option to modify it or to delete it, or kind of things, right? So for that reason, we can go ahead and update the data, whatever whatever we have update, where whatever we have inserted. Okay. Once after updating, if you need, you can store it or save it or commit it. Okay. If you need, you can go ahead and save it within the database. Or else, if for the future purpose, if you don't want it, you can go ahead and delete it. Either you can go ahead and backup it, and then once after backup, we will be deleting. So this all the script, like we will be coming across one by one in the coming sessions. How to create a table, how to insert the records into a table, how to update the data with whatever the data that is present inside the database, or else if needed, I can go ahead and delete. If not, I can leave it as it is. Okay, I can go ahead and copy the data as a backup into some other table. All this information we will be coming across, and we will be seeing in the coming sessions. Okay, so whenever you are writing, let's, before I get into the other concept, that is the main concept we will be looking ahead. But before that, let's get into some basic features that while writing an SQL. So as we have seen, like there are the database consists of couple of tables. Within the tables, we will be storing the data in rows and columns. So data will never be same in the database. So what we does is that, like, organizations will never encourage to store entire data into a particular only one table itself. Data will be splitted into multiple tables. Okay, we can create n number of tables in our database, So from that tables, we can go ahead and create a relation one by one, like primary key, foreign key, or else joining of my two columns with the same columns. I can go ahead and join and fetch the records and create a relation. So this is what we call as RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So when there is no relational database, when there is no relations within the database for one table to other table, then if I have to retrieve the data, then that will be a painful part again. I have the data in my database, which is well structured, but the data has been split into multiple tables. Or let's say due to there can be a number of reasons. Let's say one is for security reason. Let's say my project is of banking project. If I store every information into a particular table itself, one table itself, let's say his user ID, password, his account number, his account password, then his bank transactions is available, whatever the amount that is available, and whatever the previous whatever the amount that he had withdrawn in the past 20 transactions. Okay, and from how long he has been storing, how long he's been with us. So if I store all this information into a single table in all the columns, so what is the point of where is the point of security over here? There can be a data breach, right? So this one example, this can be considered as an there is no security within the database. So for that reason, what organization does is that they will split the data into multiple tables. Okay, they will split the data into multiple tables, and they will create a relation between one table to other table, and then with the help of relations we can go ahead and join all the tables and fetch the details. So when a person who are not authorized is trying to access the database, he cannot get entire information at one go. So he have to debug, and then he has to get into the information and fetch the all records, which will be taking longer time. And then by the time the database security will be there, the database security will capture all the information, and that can be restricted at then and there itself. Okay, this is where the RDBMS and the security of the data that will be coming into the picture. So whenever we have to store the information in the database, the data will be splitted into multiple tables. Data will be splitted in any organization. You name any organization, not even a single organization will store entire data into one table. The data will be splitted into n number of tables. Okay, so whenever you are writing any code within the SQL, so it ends with a semicolon. Okay, so let's say you have splitted the data into multiple tables, and if you have to fetch the data and you have to write a code in such a way that for every table, if you have to write a code, you can write the code, and we will be ending up with a semicolon. Only then it will get to know that okay, this particular code has been completed, now I have to go ahead and execute. Okay, so this is all about the SQL primary thing, and like on the high level. Okay, we will be seeing in much detail in the coming session what exactly how, like we have seen how to create update and all, right? What exactly this update command, what is this inserting is all about, what is this deleting is all about in the coming session. I mean, like in the tomorrow's session we will be discussing in much detail what is exactly the create is all about, what is exactly the insert is all about, what exactly this update command is all about. Okay, there are a couple of commands, Oracle commands that you write has been splitted into 5 different languages we will call. So one is of DDL command, which is nothing but data definition, a data manipulation language, data retrieval language, transaction control language, and data control language. Okay, so all these are commands. This language is nothing but a command, but we have the Oracle have segregated based on their importance. Okay, based on their importance, commands has been splitted into multiple they have the it has been segregated, okay, into multiple definition language, I can say. Okay, based on the structure. Like whenever you are trying to create or a structure is getting prepared within the database, we will be storing, we will call that as a data definition language. Let's say you are trying to create a table, okay, for storing the data inside the database, we will be using a create command. Let's say if we have to modify something within the structure itself, whatever we have created is not of a correct format. If we have to modify something, okay, then in that case, we will use alter. So in the coming session, we will be discussing much more detail about this, what exactly this slide is all about. And this is the primary thing. If you talk like if we are attending an interview or if we are working on a project. So the initial things is that we have to come across all this. So if we have to create, we will definitely have to create a use a create command. If we have to modify something, then we will use alter command. If we have to do something or remove some data, then we will be using truncate or drop. So we will be walking through this particular entire slide tomorrow. We can allocate the entire tomorrow session only for this slide, and then we can discuss much more detail. So this is all about today's session. Like if we have anyone has any doubts, please go ahead and ask. We can wait for a couple of minutes. So if you have not registered, please scan up to this particular code, and then you can uh, like you can join in the WhatsApp group. I can say this is of 174 batch. Like if you have any doubts, you can reach out to these particular contact numbers directly, or else you can drop an email to this support@logiclabtech.com. Okay, with the 174 batch number. Okay, with the help of 174 batch number, you can go ahead and reach out, take a screenshot, or you just scan up this particular thing and join to the WhatsApp group, so that any announcement in the future will be you will be getting, like even if it is any kind of information which needs to be given to you to the students will be announced over this WhatsApp group. So it's bad. I recommend you to join this WhatsApp group and get all the informations, all the future announcements. Okay, and take a screenshot of this. This will be helpful. You can reach out to these contact numbers for any kind of support, like for installation of anything and all. Any doubts, please go ahead and ask, or else like we can catch up on the same time tomorrow, early by 6 o'clock. Okay, then it will be a 5 days session of a free demo session for the 5 days. So 5 days we can get, after 5 days we can get into the actual topics of SQL and PLSQL. Any doubts so far? Yes, the recordings will be there. Recordings will be there, and it will be uploaded into the drive folder. The access will be given to you by the support team. Only thing is that you have to drop an email once you get the access, or else the account needs to be created. So the account will be created. You can create, or the support team also will be creating, and they will be providing all the recordings and the notes for every session. Like whatever the session that we